let's talk about what to expect when you're buying a home in the Northeast Pennsylvania area in 2024. Hi, I'm Irelyn, and thanks so much for coming by the Living in NEPA channel, where we talk about what it's like to live, move, and invest here in Northeast Pennsylvania. We are also a team of realtors and would love a chance to earn your business, so please give us a call, text, or email anytime. Our phone number and email are right there on the screen. A lot of people that are moving here, especially from another area or another state, or you're just a first-time home buyer, I have noticed when talking to people that the process is sort of a bit cloudy and overwhelming. Even when transitioning from renting to buying, a lot of people tell me that they're not really sure where to start. On the other hand, I do have some clients that hear from friends or family about, a little bit on how the process works and how to get started. But I wanted to make this video to give you guys a rundown and tell you in a nutshell what to expect when you are buying a home here in 2024. So for everyone that seems to be moving here in 2024, they have some sort of priority, something that means most to them, or a couple things that mean more to them and are very important on buying a home here. The things that I've been seeing are location, size, style, and cost. There's a couple other priorities that kind of flow into the mix, and they bounce off of those four main priorities, but location, size, style, and cost are typically the top four that I see that people look for when they're moving to this area. So when it comes to the priority of location would also bounce off of commute time and school district. Those kind of three group in one category. A location for people really matters and depends on if they want a specific school district, and on top of if they are commuting to work. If you're commuting to work, a lot of people want to stay closer, but there are some people that don't mind driving 30 minutes or more to work every day. That seems like something that people have on their minds, but I don't really think that it's the top priority that kind of takes over everything on their list. In our area, location-wise, there's two major cities, Scranton and Wilkes Barre. At least to me, it seems like Scranton and Wilkes Barre are becoming more of investment locations. Most people like to stay on the outskirts. There are sections of Scranton and Wilkes Barre that are residential, where you could move in and you could be in Scranton and Wilkes Barre in a residential area. But I'm going to say probably like 85% of, maybe 80% of Scranton and Wilkes Barre are becoming investment hotspots. The reasoning for that is because the colleges surround the city. They kind of make up that city and the population. That's typically why people would rather stay on the suburbs, especially if it's going to be a long-term home. The second priority that people will talk to me about, and I'll talk to them about, is the style of home. So what kind of home do you want? Do you want a two-story? Are you okay with a two-story, a ranch, a bi-level, do you want, a three-story to where you can either you have that third floor finished space or you can finish that space? Do you want a Cape Cod? Do you want a duplex or double? A lot of people are now starting to get the idea of house hacking, where they will live in one side and rent the other out. So they will purchase a 2-unit, and you can do that with a first-time home buyer program like FHA, or you could do conventional 3%. The next priority is the size of the house. The size of the house is something that people look for, and I usually will ask the typical, how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms do you want? In this market, the hot house is going to be a 3-bed, 1.5 bath, and even better, a 3-bed, 2-bath. Those houses are becoming competitive for residential home buyers. Typically, the size and the style of the home are going to matter more than the location and the distance to things. If it's a home that they love, they will make the commute. They will typically be okay with the location, and as long as it has, some of the other contenders. Is it turnkey? Does it have a yard? Are there certain amenities about the house that they weren't looking for that they have that, right? That they can kind of put over and be okay with the distance and location of the property, as in like a finished basement or the possibility to finish basement. Does it have a big yard? I had a client that I was working with with her for about 2 years, but she has 2 very large dogs, and I love dogs. I'm a dog person, so I totally understood where she was coming from. But we would look at homes, and if the size of the yard was not big enough for her 2 large dogs to run from point A to point B, we would just leave. We wouldn't even go in the house. That was a number 1 priority to her. Eventually we found her something actually the beginning of this year, which was awesome. That's just an example of a priority that was very important to somebody. The 4th priority that people obviously look for are the cost. So the cost of home, it's going to come into play because obviously if you are financing a home, how much the bank is willing to lend you for a home is going to put you in a budget, right? However, the cost of the home is going to be probably, I would say, not as much of a factor as the home itself, because people will buy more for a house if it has a lot of the things that hit their checklist. If it's in a location of their liking, if it's in a school district of their liking, if it's a good commute time, if it has a basement, if it is turnkey, has a yard, maybe it has a pool. Those things added together make the house really competitive, and on top of that, people will pay more for that. I kind of want to just give a little snippet on the investment side of what to expect when you're buying an investment property, whether that be your first investment property where you live in one side and rent out the other. When you're buying an investment property, whether that be a 2-unit, a 3-unit, a 4-unit, which up to 4 units as a first-time home buyer, you can purchase. You can purchase at a 3.5% or 3% down payment. A couple things that people will look for is the bones of the property. Roof, foundation, and utilities is the structure of the home structurally sound and not going to give them problems. Cosmetics aren't really a big deal. As long as the numbers work, then it will work. A lot of people in this area look for 9 to 10% cap rates or 70 to 80,000 per door. Some people look for less. Some people are okay with more. I think it's going to depend on the condition of the multifamily itself, how many units, what they're renting out for, if the tenants are on a month-to-month lease or not. So those are the things that people will look for when they're looking for an investment property. Right now, it seems like buyers have a little bit of an upper hand. It's getting warmer and it's springtime. So springtime and summertime is always a great time to sell. We're kind of seeing an average of like 30 days on market for residential homes. It's getting a little bit less competitive. However, if the home has all of those things that I stated, your typical 3, 1.5 bath, it's going to sell. And if it's updated too, people care about things like a new roof or a new water heater, new boiler, or at least, those things are more updated, they're newer, so that those big ticket items, they don't have to come out of pocket for, they don't have to take into consideration when buying a house, because buying a house is expensive, especially for first-time home buyers that maybe they don't have a lot of money up front to take care of those things right away. So we kind of discussed those things and divvy down what to expect for either your budget or the location that you're looking for. Now, when it comes to the offer process, the process of actually getting into a home, it's a little bit overwhelming at first. I always tell people to make sure you get pre-approved first. I just had a client the other day call me and she was like, hey, I'm just reaching out, we know that we want to buy something in these specific areas. She was a client that has specific locations that she wants to buy and school districts that she wants to be in. So that's just an example of that being a priority to somebody. I called her and I was like, hey, I'm not going to overwhelm you with the buying process, with what happens when we actually go look at houses, or what happens when you want to put an offer on houses, because none of that matters if you don't have your finances in order, if you don't have that pre-approval from a lender, or you're talking with a lender about the route that you want to take to purchase a home. So once you got your finances in order, and let's say we find a house and you're like, I want to put an offer on this, right? Hopefully you've started your mortgage application already and you have submitted all your documents. You have a gist of what is expected for a down payment and closing costs before you put the offer in. Know your down payment, know how much money you are coming out of pocket with before you even put an offer in. So you don't have any surprises. Because another thing that not a lot of people know is there's out-of-pocket expenses that usually are not refunded back to you. So for example, if you're having an inspection done, inspections are gonna be right around $500. Now, having an inspection on a home is important for you, especially as a first-time home buyer. That out-of-pocket cost, not a lot of people understand, and you don't get it back if you back out of the transaction. Okay, another out-of-pocket cost is going to be your appraisal. Those vary from lender to lender. And the last out-of-pocket expense is going to be your escrow deposit. So typically when you are putting an offer on a home, a lot of people will offer an escrow deposit, as it's called like a good faith deposit, right? You're basically putting down consideration, showing that you're serious about buying the home. It does get credited to you once you close on the property, but that does come out of your bank account originally right at the beginning. Those are just some of the fees that you have to take into consideration when you're purchasing a home. The two other out-of-pocket expenses, not necessarily right then and there, but you know, if you are in a flood zone, you might have to get flood insurance, and of course you're going to get homeowners insurance. So once you have that all squared away, then you get into negotiating inspections. I just went through this with clients that I have under contract currently, and I told them that negotiating inspections is typically similar as if you're negotiating an offer. You have a window where you can negotiate any repairs, replacements, or if you're totally okay with the report and you don't want anything to done, you could just move right along to the appraisal. The last thing is that once you get past inspections, you go to the appraisal, and as long as the house appraises for what you're purchasing it for, you just kind of go right into the closing process. There's a couple more things that go into it, but in a nutshell, that is basically what you're going to expect when you're buying a home here. The last thing I'm going to say is that bidding wars are still happening. There are multiple offers on houses every day, every week. So you have to be prepared for that. And there's a lot of creative ways to be competitive, even if it's your first home. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Northeast Pennsylvania. We would love to help you navigate the process and go into more detail about what to expect when buying a home here in Northeast Pennsylvania in 2024. So please give us a call, text, or email anytime. Our phone number and email are again right there on the screen. I'll talk to you later.